Evening peeps. Following my vlog yesterday about HRT, quite a lot of you have messaged me to ask me how I'm dealing with my hormones. Well, to be quite honest, I'm not. I don't know whether I'm Arthur or Martha most of the time. And my husband actually refers to the menopause as mad cow disease for women. In his words, I can go from being deliriously happy to psychotic in 0.5 seconds. So I think that says it all, really. Now, as I discussed in my previous post, on my first sort of HRT, which did kind of start to agree with me somewhat, or improve my symptoms somewhat, I found on that on the first 16 days when I was taking estrogen, that by halfway through, I could cry at the drop of a hat. An advert come on the telly, I would be howling. Something on Britain's Got Talent come on the telly, I would be howling. It was getting to the point that it was quite embarrassing, really. When I come to the second set of tablets with the progesterone, it kind of went the opposite. And I was like Mr. Angry on another level. By, I think I had 12 days of them, and by about day 7, oh my days, I would be so angry. I could actually feel it actually in my body. My husband and my son would be running and ducking for cover. So the truth of it is, I just don't. I just don't know what my hormones are going to do from 1 minute to the next, and that is quite literally. My husband could do something at 10 o'clock that I would find rather wonderful and endearing. He could do the same thing at 20 past 10 that I would find hugely irritating. So the truth of it is, there is just, like everything else, the hormones are so up and down that no 5 minutes are the same, unfortunately. Now, when I was on my period, and I mean when I was on my normal period before I come to the menopause, my PMT was kind of intact, because I knew when I was coming on my period, because as I said, they were regular as clockwork, and I would have about 3 days before I come on my period where I would feel the change in myself. I would feel myself getting quite angry and tense and frustrated, and I would be aware of it, and I would kind of say to my husband, oh God, I'm so sorry, I'm so grumpy, and he'd go, yeah, I know. But he couldn't tell me that. I had to acknowledge it, because we're women. So if he would have told me I was grumpy, I would have been even more grumpier. But I would kind of recognise it after sort of a day. Whereas with this, I just don't know how I'm going to feel from 1 minute to the next. Now, as I discussed, I'm currently taking these little bad boys, which are Clearvance. Now, these are a combined menopausal HRT pill. So both the hormones are in this pill. So I am hoping, as I've said, this is only my second month, and as you can see, I still haven't even got to that yet. I'm just about halfway over. So I'm hoping that maybe they will make my hormones balance out. But I cannot tell you how many times that I've written an email and thankfully not sent it, and let it sit in my inbox, and read it 2 hours later and been absolutely mortified at what I was going to send. And I've had numerous occasions that I'm embarrassed to say, but this is in the scheme of being honest, where I have sent real short, sharp, frank responses out to clients, which is something that I would not do. I think anyone who knows me knows that I'm quite charming and I'm happy, and I try to still put that mask on, but I just think it's much more difficult now with what's going on with my hormones. I don't always find myself aware of how I am. The one thing that I do, which I find helps me heaps, is if I am particularly miserable and something has really irked me, I do type it out in my notes. I find it quite cathartic, which may sound a little bit weird, to be honest, but I find that by expressing it and getting it out, I find that I'm kind of getting a bit out of my system, and I'm not sending it anywhere or doing anything with it, but it's just a bit of a release. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of women are having the same issues as me, from the messages that I've received from a multitude of people. And I've actually had quite a few messages off men too, saying to me, help me with my wives with the hormones. Sorry, dude, I just can't do that. If I had a magic pill to do that, I would be a millionaire, and all us women would be jumping around for joy, because none of us want to feel the way they were feeling. And I think, as I keep saying, the worst part about this is having no control of that and not knowing when the hormones are going to change or how you're going to feel from one day to the next. I As I said, I kind of haven't gone out as much as I used to, just because I haven't been able to do it really, just because I haven't felt well enough to go. But that is another thing that just drives me insane. On a few occasions that I have been out of late, I've had times where I've just felt really angry and frustrated for no reason. Now, like that for me is a happy time, going out and spending time with my friends, or socialising, or going to whatever events. That's a happy thing for anyone to do. But unfortunately, the menopause don't know that you should be happy, because your hormones just react in the way that they choose to see fit. So unfortunately, ladies, we just got to surf the wave. And I think that if you're aware that your hormones are playing up, then you can kind of control it slightly, because you're aware that it's going on. Like I said, I've chosen to take HRT because it was the best option for me. And I need to make a correction actually to my earlier post, because on my post when I said it was I put a link to a study in the States. It was actually 1 million women that they tested. It was the biggest study of all time. Now, for me, I'm hoping HRT will change, and I will document that as I go along. And if my hormones change, I will tell you. But at the moment, I'm just so up and down that I don't know what I'm going to be from one minute to the next. So I'm kind of riding it out like the rest of you women, and just hoping for the best, really. The other thing that I will just graze on quickly today is the other side of that too, is being forgetful. Oh my days, I can't tell you the things that I forget. Now, I was a champion Merlin player in my time. Those of you of age will understand who Merlin was. You would, have different random games where you'd have to do memory changes. That was amazing. I was phenomenal at it. But since I've gone into the menopause, my memory has become dire. And I hate to admit it, but it really has become dire. So that's another thing that goes along with the hormones. I think I could be in my office, happily leave to go and get something. By the time I get to the top of the stairs, I have genuinely forgotten what I was leaving to go and get. And I go back into my office, and I still can't remember for 20 minutes. And it's so annoying and irritating, but it's just something that happens a lot, unfortunately. And then I'll do it again, and I'll think, oh yeah, that's what it was. I leave my office and I'll forget again. And it's like a bit of a standard joke. My son actually says to me, how many notepads did one person need in an office? Well, I've usually got about 4 on the go at one time, because I've got lists on top of lists on top of lists on top of lists. And then, just for good measure, I also have notes in my mobile phone, just to do lists. So, if you think you're going crazy and you can't remember anything, you are not. It is the hormones and the menopause. And like I say, we can't do anything about it. We just have to ride that crest of the wave and just hope that we come out of it the other side. Again, I hope I've given you a bit more insight today of what's going on with the emotions, etc. And again, thank you so much for your continued support. It means an absolute world to me, and I've been overwhelmed by the response that I've had. So thank you, and have a lovely evening.